Hare Krishna. So my name is Prananatha Das, and I'm currently doing service on Bhaktivedanta Academy, the Gurukul here in Sri Mayapur Dham. For many years, I'm trying to do some service on education within our society, and I really think this is one of the main parts that are lacking not only in our ISKCON society but all over the world. Education is going to a very, very bad level and outcomes. And one thing that I observed from all these years looking and trying to analyze different educational programs within ISKCON is that we lack one educational identity in our society. I see that devotees, they get some outcomes that are connected to the Vedic or Vaishnava philosophies and culture, but the methodology they use and the elements they have regarding different levels of education, curriculum, didactics, pedagogy, they are not very much in line with the Vedic traditional education, and of course with what Prabhupada wanted from Gurukul education within our society. We can see that the Jewish, they have very established system of education with their yeshivas. We can see that the anthroposophists, they have the Waldorf schools. We can see that Amish community, they have their very peculiar education. But we as devotees, sometimes we set up goals that are connected to our philosophy, but the ways we apply, they are not so much connected. Therefore, I think that we really have to establish one educational identity in our society. How we teach our children, how the teachers, they should be prepared for that, the methodologies we use, because mostly in our schools for many, many years we use modern or contemporary methods of education. But if we look on Vedic education, if we go to Dharma Shastra or Manusmriti or Upanishadic education, or even if we try to research about history of Vedic education, we'll find out that the methods that are being used are completely different. And these methods, they are also connected to the outcomes of Vedic life or Vedic philosophy. We cannot separate the philosophy and the methods we use to attain the goals of that philosophy. Otherwise, it's inconsistent. So, Prabhupada spoke a lot about tutorial system, not a lot, but he mentioned about tutorial system. He mentioned about Varnashram College, which is a specialization in our schools. And if we don't go seriously through that, we lose our identity, and we might get entangled in secular education. And we have to really focus on that. We see, if we analyze, there's many avant-garde schools around the world that they are trying to change education, and they are going towards some Vedic principles of education. Like, for example, the principle that students, they should be taught at their own pace, that should be an individualized learning, not a massive learning, and moral education. Some schools, they are focusing on that nowadays, but all these principles, they are coming from Vedic background. So if we stick to that, we can create a very, very solid educational identity in our society, and we can accomplish all goals of education, all outcomes of education that Prabhupada wanted for our society. And if we look to these principles, if somebody seriously go through Dharma Shastras and all these scriptures that it speaks about student life, they will see that these principles, they are always up to date. They're not old principles and things that we cannot apply. No, they're very up-to-date principles and methods. So, yeah, that's one thing that we have to seriously think about and try to establish within our society. Well, I also want to speak about the veganism and how this philosophy is pervading our society. I especially want to speak about this because this is the background I'm coming from. I became a vegan in a very young age, and actually this is how I met the devotees, because from my family we had a background on political fighting and all these things. So I grown up with this idea that we should strive for people's benefit. So with a very young age, I started going through movements for people's rights, things and like that. But as the conscience is always trying to expand, I was also trying to see from a more broad angle. And then I understood that animals are also included on that. So then I met some vegan groups, animal rights groups. I was also fighting as a member of Animal Liberation Front before, and I was vegan for quite a few years. And then I met devotees distributing prasad in some programs that we were doing, and then they invited me to assist cooking for Food for Life. Then I became involved. And then I saw, as the conscious, like I was telling you, the conscious is always trying to elevate. We're always trying to become better persons in our own ways. So in one sense, I was feeling that all these animal rights and people's rights, there's something higher than that. Because this, if we analyze the egoistic thinking only about oneself, that's Anamaya platform. And then we start to think about others, including animals and other living entities, then that's Pranamaya platform. But then I came to know that there's a truth behind everything we do. It's not just about politics and ethics. And then that's when I read Bhagavad Gita, I became very convinced about this philosophy. And I thought, this is higher. If I do that, I can do a higher service for the society. And then I came to know eternal principles of life and culture and philosophy, everything. And that include cow protection, and by cow protection, the relationship between man, community, and cows. That's include also milk, and that's also from the Pancharatric view, the offerings we do for Krishna, they are established also using milk. Of course, we are also concerned with everyone's benefit and everyone's well-being. We know that the slaughterhouses and milk factories, they are not good. But we understand there are higher principles, and that's Manumaya platform. That's so anyway. That was my natural progress of consciousness in my own experience. So I appreciate. I'm not saying that veganism is a bad thing in the secular society, but we have to move ahead. And if we try to impose this ethical and political things within our movement, we might lose our identity, and we'll be entangled on karma. Because if you see even these great philosophers or sociologists that they promote veganism, like Peter Singer and others, they are not completing their philosophy. If you see even Jainists, they are more concerned about other entities' well-being than the vegans. So then we have to think, oh, we shall become Jainists, because that's better than vegans. If we see there's another group that they only eat raw food, no milk, only raw food, and there's groups that only eat fruits because they fall down from the dead. So many philosophies, and yeah, I think we should not promote this kind of philosophies within our movement. If somebody wants to be for personal choice, that's okay, because there's everyone has his own independency. But if you want to do the regular offerings that our acharyas they taught us how to do, they established, that includes, and the real protection of cows is this relationship between man and cow, and also the oxen. It's to work together, and that's include dairy products and things like that. So that was my life experience with that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.